I'm Lukas, and today I want to talk about patching and routing inside the desk. And I'm doing this with an SQ5 today, but most of the things that I'm going to say are universal to every desk out there, at least if they're digital. So let's get started real quick. Now, here we have our mixing desk, whatever it's going to be, if it's going to be an SQ5 or any other digital desk. We want to bring microphone and other signals into the desks and then bring it back out. Now, how do we do this? Well, I think of the SQ5 as a closed system that pretty much has 4 ways of getting in and 4 ways of getting out. Pretty much similar to doors. So you have your SQ and you can come into the SQ via any of these doors. So maybe you want to take this one, whatever. So that is the way we have 4 doors to get into the SQ and 4 doors to get out again. Now, those 4 doors, as I said, they're going to be our inputs and outputs in the analog world right here, meaning 16 analog inputs and 12 analog outputs plus 2 analog outputs and 4 line ins. So that's pretty good. Second one of all, the second door is the S-Link port right here, meaning it's a digital port, and it's the Allen Heath protocol S-Link. Then the third in and out is right here with the USB. This is a USB-B. There's also a USB slot on the front, which is going to be the SQ drive. Now, then we have our fourth door, which is the in-out port right here at the back. And that's our 4 doors. Now, imagine you just come to the club and there's an opening act and they have 2 microphones for the vocals, an acoustic guitar you need a DI box for, and they have some playbacks as well. Now, we want to make sure that everything that this band brings gets into our desk. We want to know where exactly it goes into so we can then route them into our channels. Now, the first thing we have to do is make sure that we have a plan, that we have a list, that we know, hey, if I put microphone 1 into channel 1, everybody else is going to know that microphone 1 is going to be in channel 1. I mean, it sounds trivial, but it's super important. So what I usually do is make up these lists, and or at least I start with the channels. So you can see channel 6 is going to be here. Then I always put this a second, the instrument. What are we going to take into the microphone? Kick drum, snare, whatever. Then obviously I have a preference of what microphone I want. So I'll tell them I want this microphone, and then they say, we don't have that, can we take that? Okay, cool, sure. And the last thing is I always put another extra information like what kind of stand or clamp do we need? Is there anything particular? You could also put in where exactly that input comes from, meaning, oh, this is stage right because that's our main guitar. Something like that. Anything can help. And just make sure you put all the information that is needed in there. So now we're going to make a little list for today. And that's going to be, as I said, 2 vocals, an acoustic guitar, and a PC. So I put the 2 vocals on 1 and 2, acoustic guitar on 3, and then I put the PC at the very back at 15 and 16, just to make sure everything is separated and everything is going well. So now, next thing we do is we hook everything up. So we have our 2 microphones, they're connected to 1 and 2. We have our DI box that is connected to 3. And our laptop is giving out signal on XLR to 15 and 16. So now we're patched, we can go, right? We can start mixing. No, we can't. Because if you think, you can think of the SQ of the XLR inputs as one of these. You pretty much have your XLR patch bay right here, and then there's some cables coming out at the back, meaning input 1 has 1 cable that is labeled 1. Input 2 has another cable that's labeled 2, and so on and so on. So what that means is we can now patch any physical input, anything you put in a socket, anywhere in the desk. So you can put your microphone into input 1 and have it on channel 8, for example. Why you would want to do that? I'll come to that later. But most important is you can put every socket into every channel. Okay? So if we think of our SQ as like this box where everything's getting in and out, we can think of our input like this. We have those 3 inputs plus the 15, 16. And now in the SQ, you can think of the whole thing as just like a couple of stages of these in-out patch bays. Meaning you have, in this case, there's 4 in and out panels, and you can start patching internally now. You can do it via software, and you can make something crazy like this, where you go from the very first, you go to the second and the third and the fourth and out. So now we have our input here that is going all the way crazy through the desk, and it comes out here again. Now, we want to make sure that everything is in order. So here we have something from Allen Heath. Now, we have our input socket right over here. And this one goes out to either an input channel or the external mix-ins. And when you are patched into the input channel, you then have several ways of going back out. So you go into your input channel, you do whatever you want with your signal, and then it comes back out. You can either go directly out to an output socket, easy. You can go into the main mix, of course, that's pretty standard. You could go into a group to have maybe parallel compression or just organize your mix. Or you can also go into an aux to have some monitoring for the talent on stage. And from this whole thing, now we have outputs, meaning we have the main left, right, we can bring to an output socket. We have the matrix, which we can bring out to an output socket, and as well the aux can go out to an output socket. So this is pretty much the whole patching idea of going into the desk, and now we go into the real desk and make sure that everything is routed correspondingly. So let's fire up our mix pad. There we go. SQ5, connect this one. And you can also see now we are online because we see our PAFL going up here. So generally, we now are patched into, let's say, input 1. Let's now go to IO patch over here and make sure that everything that we patched into the desk is actually patched into a channel so that we can do something to it, like use EQ, volume, compressor, whatever you want. And then obviously from that channel, we want to distribute this channel further along through the desk to an output at the end. Now, as I said, we have our SQ in side, which is on the vertical side over here on the left. That's always in the desk. And then we have our 4 doors up here outside of the desk. It could be input socket, output socket, that doesn't matter. Just matters that vertical is inside the desk, horizontal is outside of the desk. So now we have patched our vocal microphone number 1 into socket number 1 of our desk. So now we have to think, like, where is the signal coming from? Where is it going? And where is it going to end? First of all, this microphone signal is on number 1, so we want this maybe on channel input number 1, obviously. So let's do this. We activate the patch, and then we go input channel 1. This is the list of all the input channels we have in the desk. Remember, vertical desk, horizontal outside. So outside socket 1 of our local goes into input 1. So now, when we talk into this microphone, yay, you can actually see what's going on. Yeah, cool. So we have patched one microphone into one socket. But remember, on our patch plan, we still have another vocal and a guitar and a PC to patch. So now we have vocal microphone 1 patch to our input channel 1. We can keep going. So we have local socket 2 should go to input number 2. Then remember the 3 input socket 3 was the acoustic guitar, so we put that on input channel 3. Now, we patched the laptop on 15 and 16, remember? Now, in order to not have all these free channels in between, we can now do a soft patch, meaning we can put input socket 15 going down here into input channel number 4. And 16 we can put on input channel number 5. I'm sorry. So we have channel 1, microphone 1, channel 2, microphone 2, channel 3, acoustic guitar, channel 4, laptop left, channel 5, laptop right. Imagine we are now at a bigger venue and we have a stage box on stage. So we want to patch from that stage box the input number 1 into our number 1 channel. This would be, again, outside world over up here, S-Link, going to inputs, input channel. And then we put it on input number 1. So we activate the patch and go outside socket 1 from S-Link goes to our input channel 1. Now, when we check it, it's back. It's back again. It's back again. So now we are patched in from our stage box into our channel. Easy. Now, alternatively, we can also say the socket 1 from S-Link should go to a different channel. Like, for example, we've had the main band. The main band is patched to socket 1 goes to input channel 1. And now we have an opening act and we want that opening act to be somewhere else. So maybe socket number 1 now goes to my input channel 17, for example. So we have the socket 1 on input channel 17, which we can double check again. If we go to 17 and we talk it to the microphone, there you go. Now it's on 17 and not on 1 anymore. That means we can soft patch any microphone we want to any input channel we want. Just always remember, over here we have the outside world coming into this inside world. So socket number 1 can be patched to any input channel. Socket number 2 can be patched to any input channel. So we've now made sure that we have input on this channel and we are good to go. Now this signal has to go somewhere because just being in the channel doesn't work at all. If you bring the fader up, nothing's going to happen. We have to route this channel out to where we want it to be. So let's think about it. We now want to go back here. So now we are in the input channel and we want to go out. First option is the mix left right, obviously. So let's do that. We want to make sure that we are on input 1. Then select routing. And here you have every input channel. And down here you can send the signal wherever you want. So let's start at the top. You have the DCA assignment. You can assign any channel to any of the 8 DCAs. We have the mute assigned, same with the mute groups. And then we have our first sends, meaning this is if you click on this, the main left right for input channel 1. And obviously input channel 1 always means the desk's input channel, doesn't mean the first input of your desk physically. So now we can see the default outputs of the channels are going to main left right, going to all the auxes, does not go on any group, and goes to every FX send, which is fine. Now, we can make sure that this input we want to collect on a group maybe. So we have 6 vocal inputs and we want to put all 6 vocal inputs on a group and then bring that out to left, right, and then bring it out to the output sockets. So we do not want this to go to the main left. We now want this to go to the vocal group. So what we've done now is made sure, go back over here, that we go input channel. From here we go into a group, and we do not go to main left, right, or direct out or whatever. But we do want to go to aux as well to give them monitor. So from now, input channel has the output going to group mix. Let's check out the group then. We go over here, we have the mix, and we see our 4 groups now. If we bring up this group and the input. So now we are going out of the group, and we want to make sure that this group reaches the left, right, obviously. So let's do that. And again, back to routing. So we select group number 2, which is the vocal. And we go back into the routing table, and we already made sure that this is on the left, right. So when we bring up the group, that it goes to left, right. Also, this can go to auxes. This could go to the FX, wherever you want it to go. So now the input socket is patched to the channel is patched to the group is patched to the left, right. So now we have a final mixing channel on the left, right. Here we go, you can see that, hey, 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 hey. And as we do so, we now want to bring out left, right to wherever we want to go. So again, this is a patching, in-out patch. And this time we want to go from our SQ outputs into local S-Link. We have another door now. This is the me port. This is special. This is just a personal monitoring. We can ignore it for right now. Anyway, now we can go from mix out. And you can see down here is the left, right, which is already pre-patched to local socket 1112 and AES left and right. This is the standard patching of Allen Heath, which is cool. But now we just want to make sure, because our stage box is on stage and the local club or whatever only has the outputs on stage. So we can't go out of our desk over here. We have to bring that out of stage box. So instead of routing our left, right to 11 and 12 on the local, we're going to go 7 and 8 on the D-Snake. So outputs, mix out, bring this down here, left, right. And where do you want to go? We want to go to S-Link, D-Snake, and bring out the main left, right to 7 and 8. So right now, what's happening right now is 7 and 8 is coming out of the stage rack. Now that is patched pretty much, we can check again. We can go back to processing and bring the inputs and bring up input, and there we hear it. There we go. Now we have our output going through 7 and 8. You can get your inputs from pretty much anywhere of these 4 doors. As I said, you can come from USB. You can have anything, any music playing. You just have to make sure that your laptop is patched correctly to give out the signals on the right inputs. Meaning you have your laptop, for example, down here, and you're using the outputs. Right now I'm patched to SQ12 USB, which is the standard. So my desktop laptop goes out to SQ, and I can bring that to anywhere I want. Let's say I want to have that on input 3 and 4, just because. Now, input 3 and 4 is where the music is coming into. So now, when we start playing some music, we can see there it's coming in on channel 3 and 4. If we bring those up, it's working. So, again, we bring channel 3 and 4 out to the main left-right, which is hooked up to our speaker. Back to patching. You can do pretty much the same thing with any S-Link in and out, USB in and out, and the I/O port as well. Right now I have a Dante card inserted in there with 64 times 64 channels, meaning 64 inputs, 64 outputs. And that's pretty much the same patching. So you still have to think of the desk, which is the horizontal, the vertical, and the outside, the port, the card itself is over here. So if we want to send out to Dante, maybe for recording, you just go over here and say outputs, direct outputs. So our desk is giving out from the direct out of the internal channels, and you want to give it out to the I/O port. So now I'm taking the channel route over here, the direct out. And now we can just patch everything out. So whatever is on our desk channel 1 now goes out to the Dante port number 1. And we can keep patching like this and have 1, 2, 3, and 15, 16. There we go. 15 to 15 and 16. So now we're streaming from our input channels right out to our Dante card port. And now one thing you have to make sure is that you also patch in Dante as well. Meaning now these cables from our inside of a desk are just put into the output socket. But now the signal needs to be patched on the output socket of the card into the network. So here we are in the Dante controller, and you can see my SQ5 is right here. We don't have any other Dante equipment right now, but you can still see this is another matrix. So if I send out to the Dante card, this is the inputs of the Dante card, going to the outputs. So you transmit from somewhere and something else receives it. So Dante channel 1 can go to any receiver anywhere in the network, and then we're patched in. But that again is another patching world, meaning this is another cube, pretty much another door we have to go through. And just one quick thing to make sure, everything I've said today is just my personal opinion and my personal way of doing things. None of this is the right way. None of this is wrong. It's just how I get along. And I hope this helps you think about patching a little differently and make sure that everything that goes in comes back out where you want it. Cool. I hope this helps, and have a great day. Bye.